Cole is coming back in a major way.
Do we look at him the same, being that they screwed his head off the big three?
You hear his bars, all of that shit don't matter.
It's over.
He's coming crazy.
Cause let me tell you something, man. They screwed his head off the big three. Is he in the big three?
Fat Joe just said what the entire hip-hop community has been thinking but was too afraid to say out loud. J. Cole cannot be rated anymore. Not because he can't rap, not because he lost his skill, but because he backed down. And in hip-hop, you don't come back from that. Jadakiss is sitting right there, nodding in agreement, and what they're saying is about to shatter everything you thought you knew about the so-called Big Three. You're seeing this right, and this conversation that just surfaced is exposing the brutal truth about Cole's legacy after he apologized and walked away from the Kendrick Lamar and Drake beef. This isn't about bars anymore. This is about respect, street code, and whether J. Cole's sword has gone dull. The culture is having a reckoning right now, and Cole's name is on trial. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. You won't want to miss what comes next. A conversation just leaked featuring hip-hop legends, voices with the weight and credibility of Fat Joe and Jadakiss level veterans, and they're not holding back on J. Cole. This isn't coming from Twitter trolls or casual fans. These are industry titans, people who've been in the trenches, people who understand what it means to carry a legacy in this culture. And they just declared that J. Cole, despite his undeniable talent, can no longer be rated in the upper echelon of rap because he bowed out of the biggest rap battle of the decade. The trigger? Cole just dropped bars over legendary beats, money, power, respect, can I live, proving he's still got elite lyrical ability. He's gearing up for The Fall Off, his highly anticipated album, and the internet has been buzzing about how sharp he sounds. Fans are hyped, the bars are there, the technical skill is undeniable, but according to these legends, none of that matters anymore because the culture has selective memory when it comes to skill, but permanent memory when it comes to moments. And Cole's moment was the apology, the retreat, the white flag. Within hours of this audio surfacing, the hip-hop community exploded. Social media is divided, Cole's fan base is defending him, pointing to his discography, his consistency, his raw talent. But the old heads, the culture keepers, the ones who remember when respect was earned in confrontation, not through streaming numbers, they're saying what Fat Joe just confirmed. Once you back down publicly, you can't rap your way out of it. You can drop the hottest 16 bars in history, but if you didn't show up when it mattered, your sword is dull. Right now, as we speak, this conversation is dominating every hip-hop platform. The Shade Room posted it, Complex covered it, Twitter is on fire with the hashtag Big3 debate. Cole hasn't responded yet, but the pressure is mounting. Kendrick Lamar's name keeps getting brought up, Drake's shadow looms large, and the question everyone's asking is, can J. Cole ever recover his position in the Big Three? Or did he lose that seat the moment he said, I apologize? The stakes are massive. This isn't just about one conversation. This is about redefining what makes a legend in hip-hop. Is it bars? Is it moments? Is it showing up? And if Cole can't be rated, what does that say about the new generation's approach to competition? Hold on, because we're about to break down every single layer of why this conversation is the most important hip-hop debate of 2026. Let's get into the receipts, because this conversation didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's backed by undeniable moments that hip-hop will never forget. The core of this entire debate traces back to April 2024. Kendrick Lamar and Drake were in the middle of the most explosive rap beef in over a decade. The entire industry was watching. Fans were picking sides, and then J. Cole dropped 7 Minute Drill, a diss track aimed at Kendrick Lamar, inserting himself into the battle. For a brief moment, it looked like the Big Three were about to go to war. But then, just days later, Cole performed at Dreamville Festival and did the unthinkable. He apologized. On stage in front of thousands. He said the diss felt forced, that it wasn't him, and that he regretted it. He pulled the track from streaming platforms. That moment is the smoking gun. That's the receipt that these legends are pointing to. Fat Joe and the crew in this conversation aren't making this up. They're referencing a documented, public moment that the entire culture witnessed. Cole's apology wasn't a private text or a behind-the-scenes conversation. It was a public retreat. And in hip-hop, where your word and your willingness to stand on it define your legacy, that apology became the moment that allegedly screwed his head off the Big Three. The internet didn't let this slide. Within hours of Cole's apology, memes flooded every platform. J. Cole started trending. Comedians made jokes. Even fans who loved Cole admitted they were disappointed. But here's where it gets deeper. Other rappers started weighing in. 50 Cent, who's never been one to hold his tongue, reportedly made comments about how the younger generation doesn't understand what battle rap used to mean. Joe Budden dedicated an entire podcast episode to dissecting Cole's decision, calling it a moment of weakness that can't be erased by future albums. And even Kendrick's silence was loud. Kendrick didn't respond to Cole's apology directly, but Not Like Us dropped shortly after, a track that many believe included subtle shots at Cole's retreat. The fact that Kendrick didn't even need to acknowledge Cole directly was in itself a receipt. The message was clear: if you're not willing to engage, you're not worth engaging with. Fast forward to 2026, and Cole has been rapping his heart out. He dropped bars over classic beats, tracks that legends like Jadakiss and The Lox made iconic. He's been proving his lyrical ability hasn't diminished, but as this leaked conversation reveals, the culture isn't measuring him by bars anymore. They're measuring him by that one moment, and that's the receipt that won't go away. This is the line that's echoing through every barbershop, every studio, every group chat right now. In the leaked conversation, one of the speakers says, and I'm paraphrasing the essence here, "Bars don't erase memory. You can be the most technical, the most skilled, the most lyrical rapper alive, but if you back down when the lights were brightest, the culture remembers." This isn't about talent, it's about moments.
The smoking gun is the comparison they make to Everlast versus Eminem. Everlast stepped into a battle with Eminem knowing he'd probably lose, and he lost, badly. But the culture respects him more than they would if he'd never engaged, because at least he showed up, at least he stood on his name. Cole, on the other hand, stepped into the ring, threw a punch, and then immediately apologized and left. That's the image that these legends can't get past. And here's why this specific piece is the game changer. It's not coming from haters, it's coming from people who respect Cole's talent. Jadakiss is a legend. Fat Joe is a legend. These aren't internet trolls. These are people who've lived the culture, who understand what it means to carry a legacy. And they're saying with full chests that Cole can't be rated in the Big Three anymore. Not because he's not talented, but because he didn't come outside when it mattered. You see what I'm seeing here? This isn't a diss, this is a standard. And by that standard, Cole didn't meet the moment. Keep watching, because the reactions to this conversation are even crazier. The moment this conversation hit the internet, the industry started moving. Joe Budden, who's been vocal about this topic before, reportedly tweeted or posted on X, "I've been saying this for 2 years. Respect and talent are not the same thing." His exact words carry weight because Budden has consistently argued that Cole's apology was a career-defining mistake, not in terms of sales, but in terms of legacy. DJ Academics, who covers every major hip-hop moment, went live within hours and said, according to reports, that this conversation is the final nail in the Big Three debate. He pointed out that Kendrick and Drake never backed down, never apologized, never retreated. They stayed in the fire. Cole didn't, and that difference, according to Ak, is why the debate is over. Interestingly, some of Cole's peers have remained silent. Dreamville artists haven't jumped to his defense publicly. That silence is loud. Either they agree or they don't want to get caught in the crossfire. The absence of a strong defense from his own camp is telling. Twitter and Instagram are in full debate mode. Hashtag Big Three debate started trending within hours. Fans are split, but the old heads are overwhelmingly siding with Fat Joe and Jadakiss. One viral tweet said, "Cole can rap circles around 99% of the game, but he can't rap his way out of that apology. Hip-hop don't work like that." That tweet got over 200K likes. On the flip side, Cole's fan base is defending him with passion. They're pointing to his body of work, his consistency, his refusal to engage in meaningless beef. But here's the thing, the culture isn't buying it. Because the beef wasn't meaningless. It was Kendrick, it was Drake, it was the biggest moment in modern rap, and Cole chose to sit it out after briefly stepping in. Complex published an article titled, "Did J. Cole lose his Big Three status forever?" The Shade Room posted clips from the conversation with the caption, "Fat Joe says J. Cole can't be rated after backing out of the Kendrick beef. Thoughts?" The comments are ruthless. Hip Hop DX ran a breakdown of the Big Three debate, comparing sales, critical acclaim, and cultural moments. By every objective metric, sales, streams, awards, Cole is elite. But the article concludes with a question: is rap about metrics or moments? And that's the question the culture is wrestling with right now. Brands and labels are watching too. Cole's upcoming album, The Fall Off, is still highly anticipated, but there's reported concern about how this narrative will affect its reception. If the culture has already decided he's out of the Big Three, will casual fans follow that narrative? Will critics? One of the most powerful moments in the leaked conversation is the Everlast versus Eminem comparison. For those who don't know, Everlast and Eminem had a legendary beef in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Everlast stepped up, knowing full well he was outmatched. He got destroyed, but the culture respects him for showing up. That comparison is brutal for Cole, because it suggests that losing is better than not fighting at all. This angle is resonating with older fans who remember when hip-hop battles were about honor, not algorithms. They're saying Cole chose the algorithm over the arena, and in hip-hop, that's a cardinal sin. If you're not following this, you're missing everything about why this conversation matters so much. Drop in the comments, who do you believe? Is talent enough, or do moments define legends? Let's rewind to March 2024. Kendrick Lamar drops Like That, a track with Future and Metro Boomin, where he fires shots at Drake and Cole, effectively dismantling the Big Three concept. The culture loses its mind. Everyone's waiting to see how Drake and Cole respond. April 5th, 2024, J. Cole releases 7-minute Drill on his album Might Delete Later. The track is a direct response to Kendrick, with bars aimed at his discography and legacy. Fans are hyped. It looks like the Big Three are about to have the battle of the century. April 7th, just 2 days later, Cole performs at Dreamville Festival in North Carolina. On stage, he apologizes for 7-minute Drill, calling it the lamest shit he's ever done. He says it felt forced and that he regrets it. The crowd is stunned. The internet explodes. Memes flood every platform within minutes. April 8th, Cole removed 7-minute Drill from streaming services. The retreat is complete. Meanwhile, Drake and Kendrick continue their battle, dropping some of the most vicious diss tracks in rap history. Family Matters, Meet the Grams, Not Like Us. Cole is nowhere to be found.
May 2024 present. Cole goes silent on the beef but continues releasing music. He's rapping at an elite level, proving his technical skill hasn't diminished, but the culture's perception has shifted. Every time he drops bars, the comments are filled with references to the apology. He can't escape it. January 2026, Cole drops bars over classic beats, including Money, Power, Respect. The internet acknowledges his skill, but immediately brings up the Kendrick situation. Then, this conversation between hip-hop legends leaks, reigniting the entire debate and confirming what many have been thinking: talent isn't enough. Now it makes sense why this moment feels so heavy. Here's what everyone's missing. This isn't just about Kendrick and Cole. This is about a pattern in hip-hop where younger artists prioritize branding and algorithms over confrontation. 50 Cent built his career on beef. Jay-Z and Nas had one of the greatest battles in hip-hop history. Eminem never backed down. But the new generation, Cole, Drake to some extent, even artists like Lil Baby and Lil Durk, they engage differently. They're more calculated, more brand conscious, more worried about streaming numbers and public perception. Fat Joe and Jadakiss come from a different era. They remember when beef was about survival, not social media engagement. They remember when stepping into the ring meant everything. So when they see Cole apologize, they see it as a betrayal of hip-hop's competitive DNA. Connect the dots with me here. This conversation isn't just about Cole. It's about whether the new generation understands what built this culture in the first place. Let's talk business. J. Cole is still one of the biggest names in hip-hop. His tours sell out, his albums go platinum, his Dreamville label is thriving. By every financial metric, he's winning. But here's the thing. Legacy doesn't follow financial logic. You can be rich and forgotten. You can have plaques and no respect. And that's what these legends are saying. Cole's money is secure, but his position in the culture is in jeopardy.
The fall-off is set to be one of the biggest album releases of 2026. Labels, streaming platforms, and brands are all invested in its success. But if the culture has already decided Cole isn't in the big three, will that affect how the album is received? Will critics be harsher? Will fans be less forgiving? The business stakes are real, but the cultural stakes are even bigger. Let's keep it real. This has to weigh on J. Cole. He's not just a rapper, he's an artist who genuinely cares about his craft and his legacy. The fact that he apologized in the first place suggests he was conflicted, that he didn't want to engage in a beef that didn't align with his values. But the culture doesn't care about internal conflict. The culture cares about what you do. There's a psychological toll to being constantly reminded that you back down. Every time Cole drops music, every time he does an interview, the Kendrick apology comes up. That's got to be exhausting. But here's the brutal reality. That's the price of the decision he made. In hip-hop, you live with your moments, and this is his. If you've been paying attention, you'll remember that legends are built on how they respond to pressure. And by that measure, Cole's response will define the rest of his career. Look, if you're defending J. Cole, you've got some valid points. First, Cole has always positioned himself as a conscious rapper, someone who values substance over spectacle. He's built a career on introspection, storytelling, and lyrical depth. His fans argue that engaging in a petty beef with Kendrick would have been out of character and inauthentic. Cole apologized because he realized the diss didn't align with his values, and that takes courage, not weakness. Second, Cole's discography speaks for itself. From 2014 Forest Hills Drive to the offseason, he's delivered consistent, critically acclaimed projects. His technical ability is undeniable. He's rapping over legendary beats in 2026 and bodying them. His fans point to his body of work and say, this is what matters, not one moment of beef. Third, the Big Three was always a media creation, not something the artists themselves pushed. Cole has never claimed to be in competition with Kendrick or Drake in that way. He's focused on his own lane, and his fans respect that focus. But here's where the OG perspective cuts deep. Fat Joe, Jadakiss, and these legends aren't disputing Cole's talent. They're saying talent isn't enough. Hip-hop was built on battle culture. From the park jams in the Bronx to the legendary ciphers, rap has always been about proving yourself in the moment. When you get called out, you respond. When you step into the ring, you finish the fight. Cole didn't just stay out of the beef, he stepped in and then backed out. That's worse than never engaging. Everlast lost to Eminem, but he's respected because he showed up. Cole showed up, threw a punch, apologized, and left. That's not strategic, that's retreat. And in hip-hop, retreat is unforgivable. The sword is dull metaphor is perfect. Cole can still rap at an elite level, but his competitive edge is gone. Once fear or hesitation is exposed, the mystique disappears. Fans and legends alike can't unsee the apology. They can't unhear the retreat, and no amount of bars can rewind that moment. From a purely factual standpoint, both sides have merit. Cole is an elite rapper by any technical measure, but he did publicly apologize and remove a diss track during the biggest rap beef of the decade. Those are the undeniable facts. The question is, what matters more in hip-hop, skill or moments? History suggests moments define legacies. Jay-Z's Takeover, Nas's Ether, Eminem's Kill Shot, 50 Cent's How to Rob. These are the moments that elevated these artists to legendary status. Cole has the skill, but he's missing those defining moments, and in a culture obsessed with moments, that absence is glaring. Legally and factually, Cole's career is thriving, but culturally, his position is under legitimate scrutiny. The legends making this argument aren't haters, they're upholding a standard, and by that standard, Cole fell short. This debate is bigger than J. Cole. It's about the future of hip-hop competition. Are we moving toward a culture where artists can avoid confrontation and still be considered elite? Or do we hold on to the battle culture that built this genre? If Cole can back out and still be in the Big Three conversation, what does that say to the next generation? That beef is optional? That moments don't matter? Fat Joe and these legends are drawing a line in the sand. They're saying this is what real hip-hop looks like. You show up, you compete, you stand on your name. Anything less is a betrayal of what the culture was built on. In my opinion, they're right. Talent is the baseline, but moments are what separate the good from the great, and Cole missed his moment.
Based on past patterns, J. Cole likely won't respond directly to this conversation. He's historically avoided public back and forth, preferring to let his music speak. But the pressure is mounting. If this conversation continues to dominate social media and hip-hop media outlets, Cole might address it in an interview or through bars on the fall-off. I expect subtle references, not a direct clapback. Fat Joe and Jadakiss, or whoever the voices in this conversation are, probably won't back down either. If anything, they'll double down if pressed in interviews. The old guard is tired of what they see as a watered-down generation, and this is their moment to set the standard. Kendrick Lamar's name will keep getting brought up. Don't be surprised if someone asks Kendrick directly about this in an upcoming interview. His response, or lack thereof, will add another layer to this story. Thanks for watching Celeb Sphere. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications, and if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found.